I do want to get into the Trump country after Trump documentary. Um,
Awesome. Yeah, that's what
so
I released Tuesday night, and so you saw it. You identified earlier in this
mhm.
podcast as someone who leans left and votes Democrat. So
Yep.
I'm curious what your reaction to it was,
Well,
watching these individuals.
I enjoyed watching it, and even though it's northern Minnesota, it felt just like an hour outside of Oklahoma City. I mean, those are the same people who basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that's it. Rural areas in all states, it's all
It's
kind of
rur-
the same.
it's more about rural and urban than it is north and south.
Yeah. Now, I do want to say one thing off the bat. I should have written her name down, but the wife from the first interview. I mean, you came back to him, but what was her name? Was it
There's Rob and Becky.
Becky? Becky. I would bet all the Bitcoin I own. That's not Bitcoin I own. She voted for Biden. She
Oh
voted for
gosh.
Biden. She
Uh,
voted for Biden. Just watching her energy.
I like that observation. I don't agree with it, but I like it
You
because
see,
she was the one who, in fact, she would say more that didn't make the video, where but because she really said the video includes everything she said, it just doesn't include all of it. But she
mhm,
would echo that stuff a little bit more, about how she will take the flag down, she'll move on, and the
mhm.
others were not like that. So
Calm
she
and peace, calm. Like she was just. It was very.
Yes. Yeah, she was
She.
defending, and she went out. I like that part where she said to her husband that Trump instigated the January 6th event.
Yeah.
And he was like, really? Like that was his line. Really?
Yeah,
And
it
he's
was
like,
there were little
no.
moments. You know how you can just
There was a little
tell when
moment. Yeah.
somebody's giving you all the information you need to add, to add it. She's giving you all the information. You just gotta kind of be aware of it. And she was definitely saying, I voted for Biden, but I'm with this dude. But so I don't really want to get too deep into my. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think I definitely it's a good
That says
watch.
something right there. That says something right there, Paul, because I don't expect a lot of people who don't empathize with them
Mhm.
to watch it. But that's my hope. And so
Yeah.
I'm glad you did, and that you could watch it without it angering you, or you first just refusing to watch it from the outset. Like there was a woman on Facebook that I shared this documentary on, like a group I belong to, of filmmakers, and she watched it. She's like, that was hard for me to watch. And I says, then I tip my hat for you to doing so, for
Mhm.
watching it, because that's, I think that's so important. I listen to people I disagree with all the time, and
Yeah.
I get it. Like I get where they're coming from, and I disagree, but I think just getting where they're coming from, or I don't know, even you don't have to like it at all. You can dislike it,
Yeah.
but I just think having some kind of connection to retain that sense of humanity, that this is a human being. I don't like where they're going, but they're they're doing what they think is right,
What
right?
yeah, what I think the main for me whenever I'm kind of watching someone I don't necessarily agree with and or who has differing opinions of mine, the question I wonder is, do they think they're doing what's right, or are they doing something that's right that they think is right, or are they being kind of mean, just basically mean or hateful? Are their actions dictated by hate, or are their
Right.
actions dictated by a true belief in what that they think it's going to be better for everybody?
Yeah.
And the people you talk to, I mean, okay, so I had one thing I wrote down, and I just want to run this by you, just as a general idea.
Mm-hmm.
Is people in the video, the two couples you talked to, they said the word believe, and they said the word I think, believe. And it's those are when I hear those words, I think, well, just because you believe something doesn't mean it's real. And so often
Mm-hmm.
belief and reality just come head to head. And unless there's kind of some consequence, some immediate kind of painful consequence, you can believe whatever you want, even if it's wrong. Right. And I think a lot of these people, I mean, and I just people in general, would you
Mm-hmm.
say that it's fair that people tend to believe things that they think will benefit them?
Well, they
That makes
believe
sense.
things that offer them some kind of comfort, and it doesn't have to even be comfort in the classic sense, or the sense
Mhm.
you and I are maybe thinking of it right now, the sense that others would assume it means. No, it can mean you want to stay angry, right? You want to feed that chip on your shoulder,
Mhm.
right? And it goes, it's on both sides, right? So people are going to believe Trump lost the election, and no matter, or they're going to believe the election was rigged,
Mhm.
and no matter what you tell them, no matter what you reveal to them, it doesn't matter, right? It's like there's a people get so invested in their beliefs, and again, it happens on the other side too. People are mad at, again, I don't want to wade into really controversial
Mhm.
waters here, but let's look at the way Michael Brown died, right? In St. Louis, was it?
Mhm.
The
Ferguson,
hands
yeah.
up, don't shoot thing. I think that was shown it didn't happen, but it
Mhm.
didn't matter, right? People are gonna just hold on to that idea, and they say it at rallies, hands up, don't shoot. It didn't happen, but it doesn't matter, right? And it didn't matter that it showed, and then it turned out I think he tried to grab the cop, and he was asking for trouble, right?
He
Whether he
reached into
deserved
the
to die.
car. Yeah.
So
But
it
I think
wasn't
what
like,
happens with that particular story, I think what happens is that it's if if 1 out of 10 instances are incorrect, you still kind of, it's you look at the other nine. The other
right,
nine carry more weight than the one.
right,
So I was like, okay, well,
right.
this one wasn't what they chalked it up to be, but there's
Yeah.
9 other examples of this going this way.
So I'm
But
not sure that's a great example on the other side, but I'm
yeah.
just like, people are going to believe what they want to believe,
Mhm.
and I think, and because there's comfort to that, because you hate to have to change your mind, you hate to
Mhm.
have to change your entire outlook on things, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, they just don't want to believe that. In this case of this documentary, they don't want to believe that um, Trump lost fair and square,
Yeah.
that there is no it's funny. You would think there would be relief in knowing that there isn't some grand conspiracy to destroy the country,
Mhm.
but they hold on to that belief anyway.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting psychology, um, but I mean, believing in a grand conspiracy is, I mean, again, it's on both sides. I mean, patriarchy, white supremacy. I mean, you hear from the left too, like it's all systemic, it's all planned. They're trying to keep people down. And you hear from both sides. So I don't think it's, and you can argue one's got way more belief. I don't know, but I think people hold on to those narratives, and they'd like to just stew in them. That's the problem. People
Well,
like to really stew in the negativity.
yeah. And I wonder, I mean, to me, it really was just thinking belief versus reality.
Yeah.
And because I don't know, the things people just choose to believe in, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. I think it's just interesting to really, because I mean, listening to the second couple, there were just kind of moments where, I mean, I can't even, I don't know. I just listened to them, and there were things where there were kind of contradictions. There were
Sure.
just these things that were obvious, like, well, how can you believe this, but then you don't believe this, but then this, but then that. And
Yeah.
it was just, for me, it was more of a psychological or sociological kind of
Yeah.
documentary
Totally.
where I
And,
just
and
was,
I hope people watch it for that too. And
yeah.
if because it's worthy for that reason too. I think, like, yeah, you don't have to watch them. I mean, it's, people get mad at him because it affects the outcome of the country. I get it.
Mhm.
But if you can detach from that for a second, maybe look at it like a researcher,
Yeah.
then it is interesting. Like, why are they? And people have done that with conspiracy theorists. I mean, you watch the QAnon documentary, and
Mhm.
I think that takes kind of a. I'm guessing it takes a bit kind of a researcher kind of perspective. Like,
Yeah, and and something to kind of tie this back to something you said earlier, how you kind of said you wanted someone to kind of tell you what to be, like job, like you meant, kind of someone to kind of
Mhm.
just say this is the way to go. I think most people just want someone they can believe in and trust in to tell them it's
Yeah.
everything's going to be okay. Just do this, and
Or
you'll be
everything's not going
fine.
to be okay. But I think
Well, take
there's
away
going to
the
be
unknown.
there's some order.
Yeah, the order, because to think that life is just so, to think that just one dude shot JFK and changed the history of the future of humanity, it's kind of crazy. Or Timothy
Yeah.
McVeigh, to
Yeah.
think Timothy McVeigh and
That is unsettling.
Tom
Yeah.
Nick, no, what Nick, what's Nichols, whatever, McVeigh and
Yeah.
Nichols
Yep.
blew up the mirror building and affected an entire city in ways that the echo will never stop.
Mhm.
So to think that there's some plan that somebody actually, with power and influence did it is more almost comforting than to think just one dude could do all that.
Yeah. And we see patterns too.
Yeah.
So like you'll piece together, say 9/11, Oklahoma City bombing,
Mhm.
whatever. You're gonna like, and then you'll look for, because we see patterns. We just do. I mean,
Survival.
GSO sees patterns, right? In the cards she pulls out, and we just do that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably part of this process too, where in this case of the people in this film, um, they look at how there was suspicious activity around the FBI and the CIA and them being against Trump. Okay. And then they look at the fact that the vote counts changed dramatically overnight, and they piece it together and they say, hey, wait a minute. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I'm just saying that's
Well,
the
votes
thing.
do get counted, and then the vote total goes up, but they count them at night anyway. Yeah. I think my issue with a lot of things is a lot of people, and myself included, all of us included, to some degree, we could all be better at critical thinking, at
Yeah,
logically sorting through data and information, statistics. And I
true.
think a lot of people just don't either take the
Signal versus
time
noise.
or
Yep.
know or understand how to process information in a logical, critical way. But
Look, this is the psychology of how people get really wrapped up in any kind of movement, or I don't know, almost like a non-human or superhuman or supernatural, whether it's religious or cultish or shoot, I don't know, maybe even a fraternity. I don't know. Like we get wrapped up in these movements, and they have a higher narrative and an explanation, a mythology, you might say.
mhm.
Like Joseph Campbell, the researcher, he focused on this, and he made it famous. He became famous for bringing to the fore the idea of the importance of mythology in one's culture, and the power of the story. So I think he helped consult with Star Wars. You
Archetypes.
know,
So we're talking
yeah,
about archetypes,
archetypes, good and evil, a
redemption, a
hero's
son
journey.
redeeming. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, all that stuff. And it's you can just almost, but we're kind of wired to really love that
You are.
stuff.
You are.
And so Trump is that character, and I
I
think
do.
that's
Here's
what
the thing,
really
though.
throws people.
I don't. What I understand. I understand cults. I understand worship, hero worship. I understand the archetypes. What I don't understand is how Donald Trump, a silver spoon billionaire, born into whatever, from New York, became the warrior for the rural America. I hate trying to say that word. I will never understand that. There's a dude who I could see being that,
Mhm.
but it's not him because he has nothing in common. Okay, so one thing I wanted to say: the first guy, Becky's husband, what's his name?
Rob.
Rob. Rob dropped out of school at ninth grade or 13, one of those two, 13 years
Yep.
old at
Yep.
ninth grade.
Yep.
And I'm looking at his house. The dude has built a life that seems like he's got a house, he's got a wife, he's got kids.
Yep.
The dude has overcome some
Yep.
major obstacles. I think that's awesome that he's able to do that. Now he was a little bit, like, well, I'm not going to be here much longer, that kind of thing. He's not looking to be here too. But anyway, wherever he is in this moment, it seems like he overcame a lot to get there.
I appreciate you recognizing that.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when anybody can overcome those type of obstacles. But for him to carry the flag of this billionaire who's just kind of gotten it's just I don't get it. I never will get it. And
Well,
it's not even that he's anyway. I can make a list of traits I think that guy would follow, and Donald Trump really deep down would never get, because usually rural people are good at spotting certain cons also. Anyway, whatever.
They believe Donald Trump is genuine, and I kind of do too.
Yeah.
Does he have anything that he can relate to these people with? I don't know, but Paul, he must have something, because he went to Bemidji. Trump went to, well, first he went to Bemidji. You have to understand, there's never been I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but never in my lifetime, as far as I know, or the last 50 years, there's been a US president that's traveled north of the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Maybe Duluth. So to have Trump go to Bemidji,
That's just good campaign.
it's a town of 15,000 people in north central Minnesota. Like, nobody goes there. Nobody knows where that is outside of the area. And he went there and he got enormous. Like, I don't think there may have never been a larger crowd of people in that area ever. Who knows?
Look,
I don't know.
I'll
But
say this. I'll say this, and you can disagree, and whoever's watching, whatever. What I think that people tapped into, what they connected with Donald Trump, the rural man and woman, and Donald Trump, I think it is that they sensed a sincerity and a genuineness in him. But what I think the problem is that they didn't translate what that sincerity and genuineness is. I think they think he's the dude who's there to rescue them. A guy who'll talk shit to anybody, who doesn't listen to, who doesn't follow the traditional norms.
They like
I
that.
think they love the, okay, let me rewind and then start. I think they identified with the rebellious nature of that he has.
Yep.
But where I think the mistake, I believe the mistake is that they saw the rebellious nature, which I agree it's there. And they thought that equaled that because he was rebelling and saying he's for them, that his intention was to help them. And I think where the path splits for me and rural people is I think it was always about him. It was, they were pawns, people were pawns to give him power. He didn't get power to help the people. That's how I see it. Because he seems like he's a grifting con man in my eyes. And he always has been. And anybody you talk to who's out of his sphere, that's what they say. I was listening to Michael Cohen on CNN, and I know that, people write books, they want to, be on TV and sell books. But this dude was with them since 2007 and saw all the things, and he's just speaking his mind. And anyway, anybody who's left his orbit has the same story. Donald Trump is about Donald Trump, and he'll use anybody and abuse anybody. So that's where I think the disconnect was. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I think that's a very fair conclusion. I tend to lean more toward him being genuine, but him not being very competent, or him not being very good at being a leader because he didn't do a good job of, the basics of being a good manager, right? You're going to surround yourself with people that are very good. You're going to empower them. You're going to bring people together during tough times. And he was so he was so divisive and mean, and wasn't able to follow through with a lot of the things he wanted to do. He did some things, but a lot of the things he didn't do. And I don't think, I wish people who really love Trump would wake up to that. Like he said all the right things, but he didn't do the things. Like he wasn't the guy you thought he was. And I say that to Rob and Becky, that's not in the movie, but I think he meant well, but he just wasn't the guy you thought he was. And they disagree, and okay. And now I think they're just going to keep flying the flags as a symbol. This was our last chance.
Becky's got a Harris 2024 tattoo, like in a very conspicuous place. That's why she don't want to get close to him.
Oh, yeah, right.
But hey, okay, so this pod, I mean, it's been a lot of fun, but we've been going for a minute, so we probably need to wrap it up.
True.